Now, once again, Raymond Arroyo.
Welcome back to The World Over Live. This week's midterm election here in the United States saw the Republican Party take back control of the U.S. Senate for the first time in nearly a decade. With control of both houses of Congress, the stage is set for even more clashes between the GOP and President Obama in the waning years of his presidency. Here to break down a few of the key races and issues of the week's election and tell us what it all means is radio talk show host, author, and Fox News contributor, Laura Ingraham.
Hi, Raymond.
Thanks for being here.
Good to see
you.
Now,
when you look at this election, was this a referendum on Obama and his policies, or was this an affirmative vote for the GOP and their cause?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, this is a total repudiation of lack of economic opportunity for middle America. Open borders has been a disaster for the middle class. Obviously, Ebola, the immigration wave. People are really freaked out. I mean, I called it the fury election. I think there's a lot of fury, a lot of angst, and a lot of heartache in the American landscape. And Obama has been so supremely confident of his policies. He told us stimulus was going to work. Cash for clunkers was going to be great. Obamacare is going to go off and it's going to be fabulous. Everyone's going to like it once they have it. Well, what happened this year is that a lot of the bills came due for a lot of his bad policies. So we did the immigration amnesty deal by executive order a couple of years ago. That little DACA thing is called the Dreamer. And that encouraged the new wave of people coming across, humanitarian concerns about children. And then, of course, the premiums for Obamacare have now come. Mine went up 39%. Thank you very much. And it's shocking. A lot of business owners, they don't know how they're going to stay afloat. So all of these realities have now kind of gelled in the American people, and they don't like it. They don't see a way out of this. And the only alternative were the Republicans, right? And the Republicans ran pretty good campaigns. They ran very disciplined campaigns. And now the ball's in their court.
Now, you know what the word is. You saw the cover of the New York Times a few days ago.
Yeah.
It claims Mitch McConnell and a group of establishment Republicans came together and they purged the ranks. They stopped many of these challenges to long-standing senators and congresspeople in the early process. Is that what happened? Was this purifying the herd, if you will?
I think the purge, we saw it in, of course, the Thad Cochran race in Mississippi. What was done to Chris McDaniel was horrible. I mean, if you want to defeat Chris McDaniel, who was the GOP primary challenger, that's fine. But to use like race as they did, race baiting, I mean, Haley Barbour, I mean, this was just a nightmare. So yeah, they wanted to get rid of the undesirables, if you will, and it worked.
Is the message here establishment candidates can win?
Well, we'll see. You can win if you have hundreds of millions of dollars. The question is, was it worth it in a place like Mississippi to spend all of that money? It might have been better, I would submit, to have taken some of that money, used it in New Hampshire to push Scott Brown over the top, or to use it in that governor's race in Connecticut, where we came within, 15,000 votes, I think at last tally, could have won the governorship there. Other races that we could have won. So, yeah, you spent a lot of money to prop up Thad Cochran and Lamar Alexander. The guys that are in their 70s, God bless them, they're nice people. But maybe it's better to go the route of a Cory Gardner or a Joni Ernst, who are both fresh faces, have a fresh perspective. And, yeah, they're very talented, and they did get the establishment imprimatur. They were good candidates.
I want to talk about the war on women. This was a big part of some major candidacies here. Mark Udall used it in Colorado. 47% of his ads were abortion and contraception related.
What else was he going to campaign on?
Wendy Davis in Texas, she was kind of the poster child for abortion on demand.
Ooh, Wendy.
She went down in flames, as did Sandra Fluke in her little
I didn't even know she was running. That's how bad.
Yeah,
she went down in flames.
What's the message here? Is that the end of the war on women routine?
The message is, if people don't have jobs, their wages aren't going up year after year after year, and you don't have some incredibly charismatic person on the ticket, it's not going to get you anywhere. I mean, I think that thing has run its course. I mean, if you're a Republican, all you have to say is, okay, a $10 birth control packet or a job. Which one do you want? Because last time I checked, opportunity is what Americans want. The government can only do so much, can't be mommy, can't be daddy, can't be the prescription provider. But we can get out of the way of businesses, and we can make sure that American dreams are achieved first, and that's what we're going to do. I think it's an easy way to defeat that. I think that is really tired. Even the Democrats are saying, that didn't work.
The Catholic vote broke, interestingly, in this election. 56% went for the GOP as opposed to 44% for the Democrats.
Flip from 2008, where Catholics really pushed Obama over the top. Also in 2012, Catholics also broke for the Democrats. So Again, you can't have a country that's struggling for this long, 6 years into a presidency, and see a president who appears to be so disconnected, Raymond, from the reality of most people's lives. Not the rich, they're doing great. Look at the markets. It's crazy. The poor, they get some help. The middle, they're suffering. The quotes from people in some of the post-election analysis, I don't know how I'm going to get by. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm really worried about my family. These are the stories of America today. And for politicians to only dance to the tune of the Chamber of Commerce, or only dance to the tune of one special interest group like La Raza or any special interest group, you've got to listen to where the people are. The people want a real future for this country.
There are a lot of pundits, even a lot of Catholics, who keep peddling this idea that there is no Catholic vote. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. Do you buy that?
I think it's a diverse group of people, obviously, but I think when there's such a concerted effort to undermine religious liberty, and when those issues are discussed in an informative way and an passionate way, and some of the candidates did talk about the religious liberty issue. I know people like Joni Ernst and Cory Gardner, all these guys, they didn't just talk bread and butter, economic issues. Yeah. They hit all of these issues. That was very smart. Scott Walker, pro-life.
I was just about to say, when you look at the exit polls, Scott Walker, Susanna Martinez, Greg Abbott in Texas,
new governor of Texas,
Hogan in Maryland. These were Catholic voters and evangelicals who really rallied. So much for this canard that the Catholic vote doesn't exist. It does.
More importantly, Raymond, I think is so much for the idea that social conservatism should be pushed to the side. Again, we talked about the undesirables. I think there are a lot of people in the Republican Party, maybe the big donor class, they never were quite comfortable with this religious vote. They tolerated it during the Reagan years because they wanted to defeat the Soviet Union. But it's like the ugly stepchildren in the room for a lot of these elites. And I think what we saw is that you have a principled stand. You're a Catholic. You're an evangelical. You stand for your faith proudly. You know, no theocracy, but we're going to stand for our freedom. That's very attractive. I think it's very alluring for voters because they're not hiding who they are. They're proclaiming it and saying, I want to improve our culture, our home life, our families, and our economy. All of it works together in a really powerful way.
For some of these candidates, it was their saving grace.
Big time.
Speaking of saving grace, here's the president at his post-election press conference. He was defiant. He was determined that he would enact immigration reform on his own if necessary, really setting the agenda for the forthcoming Congress. Take a look.
That's a commitment I made not just to the American people, and to businesses and evangelical community and law enforcement folks and everybody who's looked at this issue and thinks that we need immigration reform. That's a commitment that I also made to John Boehner, that I would act in the absence of action by Congress.
He says he has a commitment.
Talk about bravado and a sense of disconnect from the American people. His party just got ground into the dirt in state legislatures, governor's races, Senate, and House. They lost across the board in blue states and red states, Raymond. And he comes out and he said, basically, my policies are affirmed by the American people, and I'm going to go around Congress because I'm, frankly, a spoiled brat. And he was acting, I'm going to say it, I'm a mother of 3 children. He was acting like a spoiled brat at that press conference with a veneer of graciousness. And what I say is that look what happened in Oregon, liberal Oregon. They elected a liberal governor for the 4th term. They passed a pot legalization. And guess what else they decided in a referendum? 2-to-1 margin against driver's licenses for illegal immigrants in Oregon, Raymond. That was the only referendum that dealt with the issue of immigration in the country, as far as I know. And it was an overwhelming no. We can't incentivize people to be here illegally. Again, people have big hearts. We are a nation of immigrants, but they have to follow the law. And this blank check that we're giving to illegal immigrants, I know I'm probably upsetting some people watching, it's bringing down this country. And real people's lives are being devastated. So we can help other countries. We can be very generous. But if we don't get our economic house in order and respect our rule of law, we can't expect anyone else to respect it.
I want to follow up on that in just a moment. This is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He's reacting to the president's suggestion to go it alone on immigration reform. Roll that.
I think the president choosing to do a lot of things unilaterally on immigration would be a big mistake. It's an issue that most of my members want to address legislatively, and it's like waving a red flag in front of a bull to say, if you guys don't do what I want, I'm going to do it on my own.
it seems, if you read in between the lines, Mitch McConnell is saying we should do this legislatively. What's wrong with that? What should their plan be?
Well, Mitch McConnell is going to set up a firestorm in his own party unnecessarily if he thinks the voters went to the voting booth to enact immigration reform with the good faith of Barack Obama involved. People didn't ask for that. People want our laws respected. We want to see credibility on the border, overstays for visas, have that enforced for a number of years.
You still have 12 million people here in Laura, that you have to do something with.
That's not why the Republicans were elected, to deal with people who are in this country illegally, except to enforce our laws. The idea that this tsunami against the Democrats should compel the Republicans to go toward Obama on this issue? Got to be kidding me. They should go toward where the American people are on this issue. Every poll shows that the American people want to be fair, but the number one priority on immigration is to enforce this border and to get this visa overstay problem in order. If we don't do that, Raymond, we're going to continue to see a humanitarian crisis, thousands of kids, thousands of families. It hurts them, it endangers them, and it endangers our working people in this country and our rule of law. We can't have it. So the idea that you compromise with Obama on that is a fool's errand, and Obama must be smiling.
Final question.
Yeah.
Who were the big winners looking forward to 2016? That's what this is really about. You had all these would-be presidential candidates covering the country, politicking and campaigning for these candidates. Who were the big winners this week, Laura?
Well, I think the consultants and the lobbyists, they always make money no matter who wins, Raymond. They're making big bucks. But other than that, Scott Walker comes out a big winner. Three-term governor in a liberal blue state. He defied the unions, and he's very cheerful and optimistic. I'm keeping a close eye on him. Also, I think, although he was much maligned, Chris Christie from New Jersey, after Bridgegate, they said he was over. Turns out that went nowhere. He went out and raised a boatload of money and campaigned for every governor who was in a tight race, and I think he looks very interesting after this. Some people like John Kasich, important state of Ohio. He's reelected, and he's a very reform-minded Republican. And
what of your friend Hillary Clinton?
I think Hillary's hurt a little bit by this because, look, she and Bill went down to Kentucky. Bill Clinton won there twice, went to Arkansas. Meanwhile, Arkansas, we got another senator out of Arkansas, of course, Tom Cotton, great young senator, and also Asa Hutchinson wins the governorship in Arkansas. That hurt. So Hillary and Bill went to both places, and Hillary and Bill also went to Illinois, Raymond, where Pat Quinn went down in flames. And we have a Republican governor, Bruce Rauner, in Illinois, Dartmouth man, I got to say that. And he's a really strong businessman, philanthropist, great guy. I think everywhere Hillary and Bill campaigned in those critical states, they lost.
Before I let you go, I have a little tiny bone to pick.
Okay.
I think when you step back and look at this week, President Obama came out a lot better looking than we imagined because he defiantly stood there, and he is setting the agenda, Laura. The fact that you have Republicans talking about compromising, finding a legislative path to immigration
but you can't make up.
He's setting the agenda.
Listen, the Democrats win. When they win, they move to the left. Now, a lot of people are worried when the Republicans win, they move to the left too. I mean, it's insane. Like they lose and they act like they win. We win and we act like we lose. So you go figure that out. But you got to hand it to him. He has a pair of.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Got to make people laugh, at least. Good to see you.
For more on Laura Ingraham, her radio show, columns, and TV appearances, visit her website, lauraingraham.com.